Hey everybody, welcome to our very first video for our 2-week review. Today, like I said, we are going to be starting all the way very back at the beginning of the year talking about exploration and colonization, our very first era of our history class. So today we're going to be talking about reasons for exploration and colonization. So today this video is going to cover, number one, why did Europe start exploring the world? Number two, after Columbus found the New World in 1492, why did the King of England make colonies? And number three, what were some of the very first colonies or settlements that England sent over? So that will be today's video. So the thing we have to ask ourselves is, why did Europeans, people from Europe, start exploring the New World? Did they just wake up one morning and was like, OMG, I gotta find a new land? Well, not really. There were some definite reasons of why they started searching and exploring and sailing the seas to find something different. Let's talk about it. So the reasons that Europeans started exploring, you know them as the 3Gs, but we really need to know them in their more educated vocabulary, because on the STAR test they're going to be probably not mentioned as the 3Gs, but in their more educated vocabulary. So, number one, you know as God, religion. One of the big reasons that people started exploring is they wanted to spread their faith, and if they found a new land that didn't believe the same thing, then they could spread their faith the way that they wanted to spread it. Number two, probably one of the biggest reasons, gold or wealth. If you found a place, a new area with gold or raw resources that nobody else had, then a king or a queen would strike it rich because they could trade something that nobody else found yet or had yet. And honestly, this is one of the biggest reasons, this is the big reason why Columbus started exploring. He was actually trying to find a trade route all the way around the world to Asia, but instead he ran into North and South America. And number three, finally, we get to glory or national pride. If a king has more land, then that means he has more power. So if you would be sitting back as a king and you could go exploring and find brand new land and you just stick your flag in it, that means that it's your place, it's your land, which means you would be seen by all the other countries as being super powerful because you have land from everywhere. Now, in 1492, Columbus found the New World, as he was trying to find a way around the world and a path to Asia, because for him, his reason for exploring was really wealth, and they had been doing lots of trading with Asia, and he wanted to find a quicker route, a sailing route to Asia. But what he found instead is what we call today North and South America. Now, after he discovered the New World, this is his voyage here, you can see he ran into a place called the West Indies, and he left from Spain. But when they found the New World, what they eventually called the New World, North and South America, they realized that there was a lot of great and new raw resources in the New World. So Europe began to trade or exchange with native tribes in the New World. Europe mostly got new vegetables and plants such as tobacco, sweet potatoes, avocados, squash, pineapple, things like that. And the New World mostly got new animals from Europe, such as olives, bananas, cows, things of that nature, and coffee beans, sheep, pigs, horses as well. And sadly, the New World also got a lot of diseases. So a lot of the native tribes in the New World ended up dying off because of the diseases they got from Europe. As I said before, after finding the New World and realizing how rich it was in raw resources, European countries like Spain, France, and England started making colonies in the New World. Let's check out the King of England, and of course his really cool, baggy, weird-looking pants. The king had an idea, and his idea was going to make him extremely rich, as if he wasn't rich enough. He would create colonies in the New World that would make him incredibly wealthy. He ends up making, by the year of 1732, he ends up making 13 colonies all on the East Coast, all near the Atlantic Ocean. Let's check out why this would make him extremely rich. The king would eventually become extremely rich from the colonies because most European countries had this economic policy, and what a policy is, it's like a plan. And this plan was known as mercantilism. This idea or this plan means that colonies would be created to make the mother country rich. So the 13 colonies, you can think of their mother country as England. Okay, so as you see here in the picture, you have the 3 colonies that are really like servants to the mother country, who is England. Okay, so look at what the colonies have on their trays. They have gold and silver, they have food stuff, they have raw materials like cotton or lumber or fish, wheat, those types of things. And they're coming and they're serving it to the mother country. They're serving it to England. And that was the whole point of this economic plan called mercantilism. The colonies were there to serve the mother countries. So King's economic policy or plan, the colonies were created to make the mother country rich. That was the whole point of all of the 13 colonies. Their whole goal in the king's head was to make him rich. And here's how. So how it works is colonies would collect raw resources. Let's say they cut down trees for lumber. So they take that lumber, and the colonies then are contracted to send those raw resources to the mother country, in this case, England. So they send it to England. England takes in those trees or that lumber. And then they take those raw resources and England uses their factories to make a product. Let's say a chair. So England takes the wood from the colonies and makes chairs. Now after they make those chairs, England, they send back the chairs to the colonies. And the colonies buy them. Because really, the colonies don't have much of a choice of who they buy from or who they sell from. They don't have their own factories, and it is against their charter or their contract to buy or sell with any other country. So they really have no choice but to buy and to trade with the mother country, with England. And this makes England extremely, extremely wealthy. Now, how could a colony go to the New World? You probably heard me say something about a charter. A charter is a contract. In order for a group of people to go over to the New World and set up a colony, they had to have permission from the king. This permission slip was known as a charter. And a charter is like a contract. It's an agreement. And in this agreement, the colonies had to agree to help only the mother country. This was the king's way of really controlling his colonies and making sure that he was the one getting rich. He made sure that the colonies couldn't trade with anybody else, made sure that the colonies couldn't buy from anyone else. They could only do business with the mother country. So yes, it was good because the charter allowed people to go to the New World, but it was bad because there was a lot of control involved. So here's how this did not work. This is not how it works at all. Because those colonies, because they have a charter and a contract, like I said before, they have to help the mother country. So let's say this. Let's say the colonies, they collect their raw resources again, like the lumber, and they try to send them somewhere else. But what happens is they get stopped. England stops them with their boats. They have the best navy in the entire world. They stop them and they say, no way, Jose, that ain't happening. So even if another country such as Spain or France or Portugal would give them more money for that lumber, the colonies can't do anything about it. They have to trade with the mother country because of the king's charter and the king's belief in his policy called mercantilism. So you're probably asking yourself, why would somebody from England even want to go over to the New World if they're just going to be controlled by the king? Well, here are some of the reasons. There's lots of different reasons. Number one, religious freedom. They wanted to escape what's called persecution. If somebody's treating you badly because of your beliefs or how you live your life, that's called persecution. And there was some very strict people in England who believed you should believe in a certain way. And if you didn't, they would treat you badly. So some people wanted to get away. So they went to the king for a charter so they could get away, go to the New World, and have their own freedom of what they believe in. Second reason, political freedom. Maybe they didn't agree with the king, maybe they wanted to escape bad government, maybe they wanted freedom of speech or freedom of thought or expression. These types of freedoms weren't really around in England at that time. So a lot of people wanted to escape that and go away and kind of run their own show, which the colonies eventually did. The third thing, economic opportunity. Anytime you hear anything about economy or economics, we're talking about money here, okay? And when you think about it, if you were somebody who didn't really have a lot of money, but you could go to the New World and make tons of money from trading or collecting raw resources or getting new land, that's a great opportunity for you. And that's a really big reason that people started moving over. And the last one, what we call social mobility. Now, this is a little tricky to understand. But think of it this way. If you were really, really, really poor, you would be considered as low class. Okay, you're at the bottom, bottom, bottom of everyone. But think about if you had the opportunity to move to the New World. And when you move to the New World, you could create a brand new life for yourself, a brand new identity, and you had all this economic opportunity. So that means there's a chance you could go from rich to poor. And that's why a lot of people moved over and they sought out charters from the king so that they could not be so poor anymore and they could change their identity. These are the reasons that even though they were controlled by the king, people still really wanted to go to the New World. So let's look at just the first two colonies and their reasons for coming to the New World. In 1607, the first colony to get a charter from the king and be successful was a group of men from what was called the Virginia Trading Company. So in 1607, they set out to find gold, and they created Jamestown, Virginia. Here's Virginia here on the map, and they created a small colony in a swampy area called Jamestown, named after the king. And their whole purpose was to find gold. So really their reason for colonizing, for coming over to the New World, was economic opportunity. The second colony we're going to talk about here was created in 1620. This was the second successful colony created by England. And they created their colony in Plymouth, Massachusetts, right here on the map. Now, they definitely came for different reasons than Jamestown came. When they went to the king, this group of people, the Puritans, they went to the king because they were escaping so they could have religious freedom. Because in England, they were being persecuted against, and they just wanted a space where they could believe what they wanted to believe in, and they wouldn't be troubled about it. So this was the second successful colony. Well, guys, that's it. That concludes your very first review video. So go ahead, go up, grab a quiz, see what you can do, see if you can quiz out, track what your progress is, and then move on to the next video. Good job.